Alright, so for today's video, I actually have a bit of Resident Evil news to go over. We have a lot to talk about, but let's start with the first bit of news, which is great news for PlayStation owners that are planning on getting the VR2 headset, since the VR2 version of Resident Evil 8 will actually be free for owners of either the standard Resident Evil Village version or the Resident Evil Village Gold Edition version. So in other words, whichever version you currently own, you'll get the VR2 upgrade absolutely free if you're on PlayStation. Now, for those of you wondering, PlayStation VR2 actually launches on February 22nd of 2023, which is also the same date Resident Evil Village VR2 upgrade becomes available to buy. Now, the VR2 headset will be priced at $550 USD. Now, this also begs the question, since we already know that Resident Evil 4 Remake is getting a VR2 version as well, since it was announced at the end of the first trailer, but nothing's been set on when it's going to be releasing. Now, I highly doubt it's going to be releasing with the base game on March. I don't think it will release during that time, which suggests that we'll probably get it in a year's time, much like Resident Evil 8's case, but I'm curious to see if Capcom will also make the VR2 upgrade free for Resident Evil 4 Remake owners. So this is very good news for PlayStation users. Now, it's also worth mentioning that the new Village campaign with the VR2 upgrade will actually take full advantage of the advanced features of the PlayStation VR2 headset, utilizing 4K HDR display, eye tracking, and 3D audio. And there's also going to be changes to the gameplay, since we've already seen photos or clips of Ethan holding two weapons, and we did see a bit of that in the IGN, and other game companies did cover a lot of this at the Tokyo Game Show this past October. But you'll also be able to block with your hands. You'll also be able to dual wield. Reloading is going to be a lot more realistic, much like Resident Evil 4's VR. So that's really cool. But anyways, that's everything concerning VR2 upgrades. We're also not done yet with the news, but also if this is your first time here, then consider subscribing, because I post Resident Evil videos every single week, and it actually really helps out the channel if you do decide to subscribe. So I appreciate it. Now, the other thing I also wanted to cover, and it's something that came out a little bit under the radar, was Tokyo Pop's Resident Evil Infinite Darkness, the beginning comic book or graphic novel that's set to release next year. Now, they did actually give us a promotion ad on Twitter. Resident Evil did retweet this, but their link was kind of broken, so I'm a little confused about this. Now, after checking the tweets, it seems that they did make a mistake. It is set to release next year, though their tweet suggested that it was already available. They did end up correcting this mistake. They did reply to a lot of people that were also confused, but it's still confusing since in certain sites it states that it's going to be releasing on March 2023, and on other sites it states that it'll release on September 2023. Now, I'm also not sure if that's referring to the whole collection of graphic novels or if it's just the first issue. It's honestly really strange, since it does look like their marketing team made a serious mistake, or maybe it must have got delayed. I'll definitely continue to keep an eye on this, since I do want to read it. But in any case, it does look interesting. This obviously looks like a comic book or a graphic novel that's covering the prequel of the Resident Evil Infinite Darkness show. So that'll be interesting to read. I'll definitely cover it on the channel when it releases. Now, the next bit of news is actually referring to Resident Evil Reverse. Now, Resident Evil Reverse actually got one of their last updates for the year. Now, they did give us a calendar showcasing what's to come. This is actually the last bit of that calendar, so I'm actually curious to see if the developers for Resident Evil Reverse are actually going to give us another calendar for next year. They actually added several cosmetic skins for purchase, including Hunk's Grim Reaper outfit from the 3DS Mercenaries game, as well as Resident Evil Revelations 2 Claire outfit, and they also added a new enemy type that you can transform into, which is the Lycan from Resident Evil 8. And they also added a different character. Now, they added Umber Eyes, who's actually part of the Houndwolf squad, or Chris's Houndwolf squad in Resident Evil 8. He is a character that you see in the game, but we don't really know much about him. And they also added something quite strange. They added two new outfits, and this was actually kind of a shock to me to see that Capcom actually partnered with Ubisoft. More specifically, they're partnering with Ubisoft on the game The Division 2 to bring two soldier outfits from that game into Resident Evil Reverse. I honestly never thought that Ubisoft would partner with Capcom, since they make pretty different stuff. Also, isn't The Division 2 kind of old? Let me know down in the comments, because I've never played The Division, but I'm pretty sure that came out a while ago. So yeah, very strange. Not really much to say. They also did bring up the premium pass over to 90, which is what they stated in their calendar. There's also been more tweaks. They also made it available so that you could upgrade your RE coins to level 3, which is actually the max level. So now they just opened the floodgates, but it does seem like they're really going very slow with the updates, in my opinion. And to be honest, it's a little disappointing. I'm not sure what they're planning for next year, but I think it's safe to say that everyone is asking for another game mode, or game modes, I should be more specific, because the game really needs it. I personally think that the new cosmetics are fire, but it's also a little too early to release outfits when the game still needs upgrading. It's also been really hard to find a lobby while playing, but I did notice, and I did play when the update launched, and I have seen more returning players, but Capcom definitely needs to bring in new modes downloads or the game will naturally die out. But as always, let me know your thoughts. And for the last bit of news this week, Resident Evil 7 Cloud version has just landed on the Nintendo Switch. It's also worth noting that all of the DLC for the game is included, and there's also a demo that you can try out to test if it runs well with your internet. Now, if you are planning on getting it on the Switch, let me know how it goes in the comments. Now, if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to click this video if you'd like to know more on the subject of the rumored Resident Evil 4 Remake Mercenaries mode. Thanks for watching.